John Henry was born a slave, but he was freed after the war. And after he was freed, he went to do what a free man does. He went to make his own living. And he went to work for the Chesapeake and Ohio Railroad as a steel driving man. Being well over 6 foot and over 250 pounds, he was very strong, and it was a natural job. And finding his new autonomy, he began to take that job. And he also took pride in that work. There was a mastery in it, and there was a purpose, because as they built the railroad, they were also rebuilding the country. They were building new hope. And so he worked very hard, swinging a 14-pound hammer. And he worked very closely with his shaker, who would turn the steel peg each time after each blow. And no one could match him. Now, as they progressed along, they came to a big obstacle, Big Bend Mountain. And at 1.25 miles thick, the guys at the top figured we needed to go through it, not around it. And it was quite a venture that was going to take several years, and even the loss of many lives in makeshift graves. But John Henry continually swung that hammer, and he would go 10 to 12 feet a day, and no one could match him. Then one day, the foreman was approached by a salesman, and the salesman had a new technological device. He had a machine, steam-powered machine that could drill, and he said it can out-drill any of your men. And of course, the foreman, wanting to make sure of a wise purchase, scheduled a match between his best man, Big John Henry, and the machine. And so it began, and a lot of people in the camp waited with bated breath. Could this machine actually beat John Henry? John Henry picked up 2 hammers and began to go against the machine. And there was a lot of dust and a lot of smoke and a lot of noise. But at the end of the contest, John Henry had beat the machine by several feet. He raised his hammer in victory. All the men cheered, and as they cheered, they didn't realize John Henry fell down dead from his work. And they buried him with his hammer, and the next day they turned on the machine. We've had a great big explosion of information. It's fast, it's cheap, it's efficient, and everybody's getting access. At over 7 billion people in the world, more and more, the telephone is taking over as the most pervasive technology of radio, and everybody's being connected to the web, and we can get the information. And a lot of teachers in our classrooms have felt that pressure and have resisted the devices and asked kids to turn them off because they're afraid the machine will beat them. And as we look at standardized testing, and as we look at these now software programs that do algorithms and will pace our children, they're swinging their hammers and they're afraid. You see, we've had several big leaps in education, and this one is in there with them. One of the first big leaps in learning was the phonetic alphabet, right? No longer did teachers just express orally what they meant or pass that on to their pupils, who then passed it on to their pupils. It now could actually be written down. And as it was written down, we found out stone had great permanence, but it wasn't mobile. We couldn't take it with us, and it was hard to share. So we started using paper. But it was a huge stride in learning. We could do this. We could write it down, and then it could be saved for other people to read, even if somebody kind of forgot it or botched it up a little bit. It could be saved. And so then libraries started to take form. And there was teachers. There was people who could interpret that, who could read. They were literate. And then they could share that out. And we continued through that for a long time. And the role of the teacher was important and became more important as we did that. The next one, though, as we all know, was the Gutenberg Press, right? Wow. Now, not only did we have these libraries and places to go for learning and just a few people, what happened was there was another explosion of information, and it was cheaper and it was more efficient to start handing them out. And because of this, we know it also changed the way people looked at the world and values. And we have a Renaissance and we have a Reformation. And during this time, compulsory education was encouraged, right? Martin Luther said we need it. So everybody can read the Bible and that everybody could think on their own. Wow. Huge stride in learning. And people were afraid, weren't they? Well, what's that for the role of teachers if people could do that? But what we found out, teachers were needed more than ever, weren't they? The role of the teacher did not disappear. It evolved, it changed, it grew. And teachers were needed. And now, I think we're on the cusp of one that is equal to those, and that is the web that has been created. We know we have so much access to information. It's there, ready and available. We've learned that. And we can share. And not only can we share information, what was huge is we can collaborate. We can actually talk to experts and share with them. It's this whole idea of learning is social. And it blew up. And teachers in the classrooms became afraid. They didn't know how to do that. What was the role? And we had also put them in a system that made it a little bit difficult, didn't we? Remember, compulsory education first started with this idea around the Gutenberg press. It actually didn't finish in the United States till the early 1900s, right? That's when compulsory education came in. And also, one of the modern thinkers for public ed that we have here, John Dewey. And John Dewey, if you go back and read your Dewey, John Dewey was ready for something like this. He said learning was social, it was interactive, it was connected. That is the way learning needs to be. We need to be collaborating, we need to be creating, we need to be consuming with each other and share that whole process together. And he also said there was a democracy in it. It was everybody deserved that right, and everybody could do that. But also, Dewey was involved in functional psychology, and functional psychology, as we know, also then turned into some of that behaviorist, right? And what happened was, it also became an idea that if you repeat everything over and over and over, the students will eventually get it. And also, if you put in their positive reward systems, they'll get it, right? And so, the same time that compulsory education finally was here, we're also now looking at the fact that our schools are starting to adopt that. And they still do, don't they? One of our most popular programs is reading programs, right? How behaviorist and compulsory is that? You have to read so many books. The more books you read, then you take a quiz, it sees how well you did, and then we'll have a reward system, pizza party. Or we'll have a reward system, free homework pass. Very compulsory. And as we look at it, and as this machine grew, that's the idea in a lot of this too, of the standardized testing, right? It's this whole idea that we'll take them through this, carrot and stick, get them all the way through school. And we left some of the idea originally behind. And here's also the problem though now. If that is your end game, and that's what you're doing, the role of the teacher, people are worried about it, and rightly so. They're having a Luddite reaction, rightly so, because the machine will beat you. You can keep swinging your hammer all you want, but in terms of getting kids to learn that way and to be ready for a standardized test, the machine will beat the teacher. But that shouldn't be our end game. The role of the teacher now is needed more than ever as we look at this. Learning is social. We see this in communities like Pinterest or even on YouTube. It's very social. But also at the same time, people aren't learning things that are really important. They're not learning things like, how can you tell if other people are full of rubbish, right? Also, when we're creating so much, the internet is now doubling on itself. In 2 years, there's more video uploaded to YouTube than all the years that involved recorded history. Wow, that's a lot of information. How are they going to be able to filter that? How are they going to be able to sort that? And that's where the role of the teacher becomes very much what we need. I know two terms have gotten negative feedback. Curator, a lot of people see that now as being overused, generalized, or vampires, people who are taking stuff and sharing it from other people. Also, curriculum has. But I think we need to take back these terms. A curator is one who has the care and superintendence of something. It's somebody who cares about it, right? They had passion about it, and they wanted to share that out. They may be passionate about Egyptology, and they wanted to share that out with other people. So they watched that collection. It may be art. They want to share that with people. Even DJs or curators. They're one who has the care and superintendence of something. Curriculum. Curriculum is a coursework and content. It's the path of learning. Curator actually has roots in Latin of being one who takes care of even the soul. And that's why for a while there was a term curate. And then curriculum also has its same roots in the fact that it was about a course, a path, a chariot race. It was also about a chariot, right? And that's what we need to be as teachers. Again, we need to be one who has the care and the path of learning. We have a human element that the machine will never provide. We have passion, we have insight and intuition. Our passion makes us subject experts, but also helps us to connect to other people in those ways. Also, the insight that we bring into the classroom is about connecting, helping students realize what's there, and intuition. All of this, we have to provide the context, right? We make what's important for our kids to understand about that learning. A machine's very good at a lot of things, but a machine can't write a novel. A machine can't even tell you what's funny. And as teachers, we need to not only curate out information, but we also have to make those learning experiences for them and provide the relevancy and the purpose. And not only do we present information to them and help them learn to filter it, we also provide them the learning experiences that let them grow. And we do that by taking care of their path of learning. Learning is social, and we need to make sure that we involve our students in all the processes as we do consuming, creating, curating, and collaboration. But at the same time, we also have to remind them and provide the value and how their education connects and how it can help them grow. My name is Yancey Unger, and I'm a teacher. Thank you.